Okay. Okay. Should have cleared my throat before really launching that, shouldn't I? Yeah. It always is slightly unpredictable how quickly the live thing actually launches. Just looking at, and I think I'm just moving my windows around as you do. And hey, Luke and Tendai, Happy New Year, which will probably say about 1,000 times this live stream, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with saying hi to everyone, and hello, Miss Foxification. Rocking and rolling. I was slightly tempted to do, you know, countdown to midnight New Year's Eve live stream, but I preferred to actually spend the time with Mrs. Angry. Soppy, I know, but that's how I am. And hi, Sean and Agro Pixie. How you all doing? Oh, we're shaping up to a very hot end of the week in Melbourne. Hey, CrossFitter, how's it going? We've just been getting, you know, relatively mild and manageable early summer temperatures, like mid-20s, and it's going like, you know, from 25 today, 23 tomorrow, to 28 on Thursday, and then 42 on Friday. But then it's meant to drop again on Saturday, which will be a relief. But yeah. Music Clavier, hello. Oh, you had a nana nap. That's fair. That's fair. I almost had one this afternoon. I was feeling a bit weird, but it turns out maybe I just needed to eat. I made some dinner, finished it just before going live, actually. And prior to eating, about an hour prior to eating, I was feeling a bit weird and I couldn't really put my finger on it. Then I ate and I feel fine. So I think that answers it. I hadn't eaten for a while, and as a slightly later than usual dinner, I normally have dinner sometime between 6 and 7, depending, when I get home from work and all that sort of thing. And yeah, so 7:30 is a bit later. It's not the latest I have dinner, but it's a little bit later than usual. Luke, you're getting 41 on Thursday in Adelaide. Maybe whatever that heat is in Adelaide is moving across, because that often happens. We get Adelaide's temperature a day after you get it. Yes, CrossFitter, I think it was low blood sugar. But I feel good now. That was a slightly wholesome dinner. It was leftovers. I made a pasta bake out of leftover bolognese and meatballs and chicken, and I cooked up some vegetables to add to that, and some pasta on top, and baked it, and it was yummy. I'm a genius. That's all there is to it. Huh? Yes, Music Aviator. The 42 on Friday does indeed sound bah-ha-ha-ha-ha. And the air conditioning in this house labors a bit when it's really hot. So we might have to make some concessions comfort-wise. Thankfully, it's only for one day. As you get these things in Melbourne, normally happens late January into February. We'll get a whole week, at least 3 or 4 days, but often a whole week where the maximum is over 35. And the minimum doesn't go much below 30. That's what really kills you, when it doesn't cool down at night. When it stays, 30 or even high 20s overnight, that's what really kills you. So yeah, although it's going to be a bit brutal on Friday. It's only for one day, so yay! But this is just the start of summer. By January, late January into February, we are probably going to have some shithouse weather, like heat waves. Yeah, look, I did see some reference to in the New Year's Eve. They didn't put 2019; they put 2018 in Sydney. Yeah, there's a million moving parts in something like New New Year's Eve fireworks. It's hardly surprising if something goes wrong. Ooh, that's an interesting one, Miss Foxification. Tip for everyone having hot weather. You can make insulating panel for windows from bubble wrap and building insulation, which you can get from a hardware store. And you make a sandwich of that, put it over windows in rooms you're not using. Ooh. Oh, you know what? The young Angry's bedrooms are at the front of the house. They face the sun for most of the day. Those rooms get really hot. I might look into doing something like that for the windows on their bedroom because they get really hot. Because the pair of them are mad gamers. They like to spend their free time in their room, online gaming, shouting at people. Just prepare. That's actually young Ms. Angry is the one who does it. Young Mr. Angry is fairly quiet, but young Ms. Angry, you'll hear her shouting all the way from the other end of the house, decrying the shortcomings of other people in her team, because they usually play the team games. Unlike the rest of the world, I don't think they particularly got into Fortnite. I think they're more into team games. I'm sure they played a bit of Fortnite. Everyone played a bit of Fortnite. Yeah, thanks for the tip, Miss Foxification. That sounds like something I should definitely pursue, the insulation for windows for at least those front two bedrooms, because they cop the direct heat so much. Tendai Warframe, I assume that's an online multiplayer game. Exhibiting my ignorance here, I don't actually know. I'm still tempted to get either Spider-Man or Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PS4. Yeah, I still have, I've said this before, I still have God of War, not that matter. But actually, I want to do other things, and I'm realizing I was thinking about it today. If I get really into gaming, I don't do other things, and I wanted mainly around video. I want to do more things. Sean, Bandersnatch. I probably have not done all the endings in Bandersnatch. I just actually had another go at it today, saw a few new things. I also found how to get the 5-star rating for the game, and then there was a super meta bit on the credits, which was quite good. But yeah, I found Bandersnatch to be a lot of fun. Is that in Monster Hunter? You scream at them, you're going to kill them where they're. Oh, you want to know the shirt, Luke? It's a mashup from the website T Fury, inspired by the famous Rosie the Riveter thing from World War II with the We Can Do It. And it's Teenage Negasonic Warhead and Deadpool, and he's saying she can do it. I quite like it. I got that in a lucky dip. I quite like it. So yeah. This Foxification, you like gaming in VR? Oh yeah, I imagine you wouldn't be able to multitask playing in VR. That would be the epitome of not being able to multitask, really. But yes. Also a little bit cumbersome. It's not even quick to pause VR, really, because it'd be like pause, then take off the headset and sort of put it down, and then whereas if you're gaming with just a handheld controller, it's like dips, pause, and you're done. Yeah, God, I'd probably really enjoy VR, so I shouldn't do it. What I am going to do tomorrow is take my 360-degree camera for its first run, got myself a Christmas present. I bought it for myself. I was on sale at Harvey Norman, and I'm going to give it a run tomorrow. I'm going to go into the city, some of the laneways where the art is, and see what it's like. It's still an experiment. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, my editing software says it can edit 360 video, and of course YouTube says you can upload 360 video, but there's a couple of levels of experimentation for me, and I don't actually know if it's going to work. So yeah. Oh, sure. You got your brother the PlayStation VR with Resident Evil. Nice. Tendo, you think there should be House of the Dead? Yeah, well, that's like one of the first things they did with VR stuff was have zombie games. I was just thinking, while we're talking, I am going to send a text to AZ and tell him going into the city tomorrow to give 360 camera a test run. See if he wants to come in. Oh, he bought the PSVR. You got him down. Well, that's nice. Oh, Miss Foxification, there's an external cam. Oh, so that's for augmented reality, I suppose, is it? The external camera. So I'm just totally displaying my ignorance about VR. I've had a little bit of a play with some VR stuff, but certainly not an area of my expertise, put it that way. But yeah, so ever since like the last upgrade I did of my editing software, they were like, oh, we can edit 360 video. So that's been in my head since then. Like, oh, I can do 360 video. And yeah, then I had this voucher thingy from JB to get this 360 camera at half price. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. And so I've tested it. It uses phone as a remote for the camera, and that works. I tested that, but tomorrow will be my first field test of actually recording video and seeing what's what. So we'll see what I think. Luke, can you stream 360? I don't think so. No. So it's Foxification. If you put Mr. Woo 360 on your phone, you can use your phone to look around without being in cardboard. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've got an iPhone. But yeah, it seemed to be working well. I was just in my lounge room going like, oh, okay, yeah, moving the camera, move the picture, you know, move the phone, and I was able to see in the 360. So it looks like it's going to work. So like I said, tomorrow is going to be the test run. It's I think the most challenging part of the process will be getting the video into my editing software and basically knowing how to edit, because I've not even tried. Maybe, you know, if I was smarter, man, I would have just done some stuff in the lounge room and then tried to put it on. I think I will do that. I'm just sort of saying this out loud and just going, yeah, why have I not done that already? I just played with it and it worked, but I never went as far as go, okay, I'm going to record some video and walk around and then go there. Oh God, I feel sort of so stupid saying that out loud that I haven't actually done it. Just going straight from, well, it technically works, to I'm going out into the field now. It's like, yeah, I probably should have done it every step of the process. So I'll do that before I go out tomorrow. Happy New Year to you in Bulgaria, Biori, and all those good things. So like that's like arbitrary stuff done for a while now. You know, all these things that are turned into big events in the latter part of the year for arbitrary reasons. And of course, it varies from person to person and country to country how big a deal they are. You know, if you look at what in the US they call the holiday season, which starts with Halloween and then rolls into Thanksgiving and then into Christmas or Hanukkah. Although the really movable one is Ramadan. I think Ramadan was much earlier this year. Sometimes you get Ramadan, Hanukkah, and Christmas happening literally at the same time. Hanukkah was about a week or two before Christmas this year, as Ramadan seemed to be a lot sooner. And then there's New Year's Eve, where we make a very arbitrary judgment about years. And yes, Catherine, there's another public holiday in Australia on January 26th. Oh, you have a birthday this time of year too, Miss Foxification. Yes, that would make it busy. So, yeah. Bury, what time is it locally? You think you're one of the first ones up in your neck of the woods? Except for your brother who had to get up at 4 a.m. because of work. God damn. Oh, one of my local YouTube friends, Josh, what are you doing here? He was actually working. He was like a marshal in the city, running around with a high-vis vest, seeing all the crowds were in order and moving people along type of thing. So that's interesting. Oh, 11:16 a.m. Okay, 8:16 p.m. here. So is that 7 hours difference? No, do the maths, dickhead. 9. Oh wow, you had people, your folks and their friends partying to 7 a.m. I did the sort of arbitrary thing, stayed up till midnight, watched fireworks, countdown, and I actually had a video. I made a video. I shot it actually up. I wanted it to go up before midnight, but it didn't. But I didn't record it till after 11, and then I had to render it and upload it, so it went up a bit after midnight. I stayed up till the video was up. Hey, Megalich, how's it going, buddy? And Loogie, how you going? Loogie, you're toasting the new year with whiskey. Okay, I'll toast you with my lemonade. I don't think I even had any whiskey last night. I did make a few, possibly quite a few cocktails. And normally when I make cocktails, I will make some with whiskey. One of my favorites is a whiskey sour. But I did start the evening off with a pisco sour, which is, for those who don't know, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but pisco is basically a South American brandy, Peruvian. It's a specialty of Peru, and it's a brandy, but you can make a nice sour with that. Catherine, pouring a vodka. It's catching up with you, is it? You're about to pass out on your bed. Yeah, this is where, like, if you had a big night last night and you're up and about, I was like, this is about the time when you start to flag. Yeah, okay, Music Avatar. Your TV's receiver was busted, so you watched on the ABC stream. Yeah, the ABC were pretty good with putting the stream on TV, but also on Facebook and also on YouTube. And their entertainment was actually pretty good. I mean, I didn't like all of it, but considering how shite New Year's Eve TV stuff often is, they had a couple of really good acts on. Tendai used to run the new year by watching H Bomber Guy's new video. Okay, fair enough. Oh, Biora, you've been doing your comic. Nice. Nicely. You're scripting a chapter and you're finished. Nice. Well, that is an accomplishment. That's a good thing. Like, start of the year, I'm not so much like a strict New Year's resolution person, but I don't know, there's no harm with, picking the arbitrary moment. Okay, I'm going to start the year how I mean to go on. whether it's doing some work like that. I was even just sorting stuff in my house today. Just symbolically start the year, get some stuff sorted. Hey Dirk, how's it going? Right, there's a reply from AZ. Coming out of hospital, so he's having the great. He's been in hospital. Okay, it looks like AZ spent New Year's Eve in hospital. Dang. Tendai, any predictions for the new year? That's a big one. Oh, Charlie, dinner for one on SBS. That's a fun tradition. I like that. Look, you've been going since 1 p.m. in the US. What time is it now where you are? How many hours have you been doing that? Oh, nice, Biora. You're really planning it. Doing a map of the city where your story takes place. I like it. I like it. Getting it all happening. So, yes, it sounds like I have some goss to catch up with on 4:20 a.m. for you, Loogie. So that's okay. So you've been going for over 12 hours. Okay, nice. Prediction for the new year. I'm looking forward to the federal election because I think the Libs are going to get smashed. What's that, Mr. Foxcation? You think the Libs will discount diapers? Yeah, they will shit themselves. You're absolutely right. Oh my God, it was hilarious. The extreme right still haven't learned. Like Dutton, for no reason at all, went on TV and had a spiel like, "Oh, Turnbull's a piece of shit." Well, what did he say? Turnbull didn't have a political bone in his body. Well, A, Turnbull was Prime Minister. B, you can say what you like about Turnbull, but you can't fucking count, man, because you reckoned you were going to be PM, and it didn't happen. And it's just more destructiveness and more making them look like shit, and they're completely oblivious to how big an effect that's had on the electorate. And I, for one, love it. We're in Dirk faceting a topaz and transferred it, waiting to a jeweler. Are you a professional jeweler, Dirk, or is it a hobby, like faceting gemstones? Nice. So what did AZ say about you think? January, forms have to be obeyed. Just walk Jason out and give you a call. Oh, cool. AZ's going to call. So I'll get him, I'll put him on speaker and get him to share the goss as to what the hell has been happening. Dirk, it's a hobby. That sounds like a cool hobby. Cutting gemstones. I like it. Tendo, you predict Brexit will be more of a shambles? Oh man, what you're raising there about food, medicine, and other essentials being in short supply, that's fucking terrifying that even the pro-Brexit people are saying they have to be prepared for food shortage and medicine and essential supplies shortages. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? How can you let that happen? That's outrageous. Musical elevator on the scale of totally to entirely. How fucked is Scummo next election? Oh, look, he is absolutely fucked. He is absolutely fucked. There's a non-zero chance he will lose his seat, even though he's in a safe seat. He's just at such risk of a backlash. Okay, if a Conservative independent ran in his seat, he would be in so much trouble. But yeah, the Libs are going to get smashed in the next election. They're going to lose anywhere from 20 to 40 seats. Wow, that's a new one. Bitcoin spam. Wild. Yes, Luke, we are looking at Bill Shorten PM, not someone I particularly support, and he's been a colossal fucking wuss in the lead up to the election. We'll wait and see what happens when they actually win power. It seems like Shorten and his mob are so paranoid about fucking up stumbling at the final post, that they're just playing it super cautious and super wussy. Hope they get some shit together when they get in, which is almost inevitable. Catherine, I think you've summed it up there. The problem with Brexit is they didn't think they were going to win, so they don't have anything approaching a plan for implementing it. And it's just a fucking clusterfuck. Oh, Lukey, you adopted a beagle. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's a good move. I heard that Tendai, the Tories had given a party donor millions to run ferries, even though they have no experience, and it's just such almost overt graft. It's quite stunning to see. This Fox, you think Short will be a good change? Oh, look, he will be way better than the fucking Liberal Party. But I think you might be onto something, that he may not do the cult of personality thing and just be about the party. I think he's spent a couple of years since the last federal election just in backroom talks with everyone, with all the factions, just going, look. We've got to just hold it together. Don't fight publicly. Don't challenge leadership. Just stay rock solid, because for reasons unknown to us, the Libs completely failed to learn any lessons from us and are tearing themselves apart. They're damaging themselves so badly. They're giving us the biggest free kick in history, and we just have to hold it together. Catherine, has there been a leader besides Trump who won and thought, what the fuck about him? I'm not sure if funny is the right word, probably more bizarre, but Trump on his election victory was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. A few people had left his campaign in the months leading up to the election, and they'd sort of been saying off the record, his plan is not to win. He just wants a lot of publicity, cause some shit, increase his brand, and make some money out of it. And then he won, which he didn't seem ready for, and he looked so unhappy on election night. Someone who had just won the most powerful political office on the planet, he looked super fucking depressed. That was such a strange thing to see. That was one of the stranger things I've seen in my life. Luke, is Bill Shorten a Christian? I don't know, probably. I don't know if anyone's looked at it. Yeah, it's not something that I go into, so maybe he's a Christian, maybe he's an atheist, I don't know. Loogie, can we get a hint about Wednesday? If you know what I'm trying to do by that point, I can barely wait. I'm not even sure what you're asking, mate. I'm not sure you know. Do you mean what I'm going to do in a video on Wednesday? I don't know. I'm quite open to suggestions. To wash the grit off. I suppose that's occupational hazard with jewelry work. Getting a bunch of grit. Yes, Luke, I'm pretty sure he's not the Hillsong type of Christian. When I don't say that, I want to say Christian, because it's really freaking. Someone, I was raised Catholic. I had to do lots of Bible study. I actually know the Bible quite well. And what the Hillsong and other evangelicals, particularly the prosperity gospel things, they say literally the opposite of the Bible. Like the things Hillsong and those other wealth-focused evangelical churches say, the Bible explicitly says they're all going to hell. That's the weirdest thing to me. The way the Hillsong mob and these other evangelical mob carry on, it's right there in the New Testament. It's absolutely explicit with no ambiguity. People who behave the way they behave are going straight to hell, which is hilarious. They're just really lucky that none of it's true, that it's all just bloody fairy tales. But yeah. Musical aviator, you were in the brass section. There you go, being in a big band. Now we're looking at Bill Shorten's history. Went to Xavier College, which is a Christian private school. His qualification, he's saying he was raised Catholic but became a Protestant. I find that odd, but anyway. So he is religious. He has a religious upbringing and has stayed within a church. So yeah, but he's like mainstream as opposed to the ridiculous happy clapping bullshit that Scummo's into. And I mean, on top of everything else, we've got all the senior people in Hillsong. Surprise, surprise, protecting sex offenders, protecting child abusers, and blaming the victims. These fuckers all need to go to jail. They need to be in prison. It's they're awful, awful people, basically. Yes. And I mean, seeing them, there are times I wish the shit they were saying wasn't fairy tales, because the idea of them being punished for eternity with the worst tortures imaginable, I can get behind that. But, unfortunately, none of it's true. So they're just going to die like everyone else. Hey, there's a philosophy for you. Oh, yeah, Dirk, I've seen that. Stephen Fry asked, it was on a TV interview. I'm saying, okay, you're an atheist, but what happens if you die and you find out, like, Christianity's correct and you're brought before God? What would you say? And he goes on this whole tirade. He'd say to God, what's your fucking story? What sort of God lets children die of hideous, torturous diseases? How can you possibly justify the amount of suffering and pain that exists on Earth? Yeah, it's a bit wild. But so music out of churches blaming sex crimes the victims is the fan. Yeah, I mean, it isn't exactly a new problem with, and there's no religion that's immune from that. Someone who wants to go with, again, someone who wants to say that religion's bad, but this religion, all religion is just fuck. You can pull them apart. Particularly, I love it when people go, Buddhism's wonderful. Buddhism's peaceful. Buddhism has as much shit to answer for as anyone. And in fact, if I think you find out about one Buddhist monk in particular in Southeast Asia, I think you can find out about what a fucking horror show he is by searching on Buddhist Taliban, because people compare the extremism that he pushes, and he basically wants the extermination of other religions, notably Islam. And you find out all about him if you search on Buddhist Taliban. So there's always a hoot when people want to say, Buddhism's beautiful, it's peaceful, it's wonderful. It's like, no, it's as repressive as any other religion. Loogie, a suggestion, downplay the importance USA puts on holiday season. Oh, well, that's actually nice. If someone wanted to use this season to not make such a big deal about the holidays, but try and encourage people to do something good and make a donation and whatnot, and support someone in need, support a worthy cause, that's a good thing. I can get behind that. Do you think I should do that for Wednesday? I don't know. It's like I have basically 24 hours to think of a topic if I can do something. So we will see if inspiration strikes me. I have a couple of ideas that have been in my head for an extremely long time that I need to do. In fact, the one I did last night about banning bad language, that was an idea I had quite a long time ago, and I'm glad to have finally done it. Now I need to do a couple of the other ones that have been sitting in my head for a long time. Oh, that's interesting, because of course, like every other religion, there are different types of Buddhism. There's a cult in Australia that they're called NKT, New Kadampa Tradition. Oh, Dalai Lama spoke against them. Oh, the Dalai Lama. He's another one I like to take piece, because people go, the Dalai Lama is wonderful and spiritual. He is a repressive conservative shit. He is so anti-sex, and it's particularly hilarious to wind up Dalai Lama apologists because they want to go about how wonderful he is. He goes, no, 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 no. He is so anti-sex. He thinks homosexuality is an unforgivable sin. Even heterosexual sex, he's basically like, you're not meant to enjoy. He's literally said, basically having sex in daylight hours or with the lights on is a sin. Like, you're not meant to get into sex and enjoy sex. It's a procreation only. Like, it's in his books, pushing this incredibly Puritan bullshit about sex. And oh my God, I've made Dalai Lama apologists so angry by pointing this out, because they're just willfully ignorant of it, and you point it out to them and they just get angry. Catherine, have the Dalai Lama and the Pope ever met? Probably. That seems like something that would have happened. I couldn't actually swear to it, but that seems like something that would have happened. Oh yes, mystification. He's a bit racist too. Oh, Dirk, you're usually busy Tuesdays. Well, I'm glad you caught today's. Oh, CrossFitter, Louis C.K. supporters should be aware. Look, oh my God, because I did a video months ago about Louis C.K. obviously thinking he deserves a comeback, and I said no, he doesn't. He's a piece of shit, and he had been my favorite comedian. Then you find out what a piece of shit he is, and he handles the revelations about his behavior really, really badly. So he's not sorry for what he did. He's sorry he got caught. He's sorry it got made public. Is typical fucking non-apologist he did. And he's a piece of shit. And I made this video saying, fuck this guy. That was months ago. And then some months after I made it, some troll fuckwit made a video going, AngryAussie's stupid for picking on Louis C.K. because he didn't do anything wrong. And so then I had to deal with hundreds of these fuckwits descending on my video going, but he asked for permission. He didn't do something wrong. It's like, oh my God. It's like as if I didn't already have a low enough opinion of humanity. I have to deal with you creepy fucking rape apologists just infesting my video, and just like, oh God, you horrible, horrible creeps. It's just like, it's just awful. They are like, oh, and like I said, I have a pretty low opinion of humans anyway, but this lot managed to shift that opinion even lower. It just, ugh. And I mean, yeah, I made that video back in October, and then like, I don't know, a month or two after I made it, this other idiot did his attack video, and it's just, oh my God, you horrible garb. Like, that's it. That's the thing you're going to go for. As the saying goes, that's the hill you're going to die on. You're going to die. You're going to go down defending a serious sexist who horrifically abused his position of power and tried to ruin the lives of the people who would dare to speak out about his horrible behavior. Just like, oh my God, you could not clearer that you're worthless fucking scum. Oh, good God. Paul, you hit the nail on the head. CK's behavior was about power and violence, very much power. The power and I can do this and you can't stop me thing. It's not, yeah, you're right that it's not really sexual. It's a power display and it's abuse. Oh no, sound's gone wonky. Hopefully it'll come back. Maybe I shouldn't have opened the window I opened. Hopefully it'll recover. I'm hoping it'll recover. Okay, so yes. Ooh, what's the everything's going? It's all good. It's all good. Okay, it's all good, man. Speaking of which, I finally watched season 2 of Better Call Saul. That was over a couple of days. I binged season 2. That's like a series I thought ages ago. I really wanted to do it. Loogie, you don't have to worry about getting me to see anything. That's cool. This notification, if I'm on wireless, I should switch to 5 gigahertz. I really know what the guys say. Mitchell, do I think Yellow Vest events will happen in Australia? Short answer, no. I don't think that's how Australia works culturally. France has a pretty long history of quite extreme protests. The Yellow Vest hasn't really made it to Australia. Some hideous ultra-right bigots declared that they were the voice of the Yellow Vest movement in Australia, and they just wanted to be about, we don't want no foreigners. Their head's so far up their ass. It's terrible. There's a shadowy figure stealing into the kitchen to get something. That's okay. Yes, but the short answer is no, I don't think Yellow Vest will become a thing in Australia. We have like, a trade union movement. If people want to have large scale protests, we've had a whole series of large scale protests will come up here. That's a good question, Catherine. What were the Yellow Vests after in France? Basically, they were upset that the government introduced an additional tax on fuel that they thought would, with reasonable grounds, they said would proportionally affect people who already worse off. There are a lot of things about you should basically tax the rich rather than have a tax that disproportionately affects the poor. And they just rioted and got what they wanted, which is pretty hilarious because it's just like, oh, look, by rioting shit up, they achieved more than voting ever did. Why do we vote again? Yeah. Loogie, a hangover cure. My first one is don't get too drunk. And if it's already too late for that, there's not a lot that can help you, but you have got to drink water before going to bed. And I would also suggest taking the most powerful headache tablet you have available before going to bed. So it's in your system before it's really needed. They're not going to prevent a hangover, like if you've seriously drunk too much. I basically never get hangovers because I don't usually drink to excess. I think probably the worst I've felt is just a bit queasy for a day. Like I've been fine and functional, but just like, ooh, I feel a bit queasy. Well, I like that as a hangover cure, Aggro Pixie. Apple juice and salt and vinegar chips. Yes, the old saying is avoid hangovers, stay drunk. But I think your best chance, because why you get a hangover is you're dehydrated. Well, apart from poisoning yourself, which is a fun thing we humans do, choose to poison ourselves. You know, yes. But alcohol tends to dehydrate you. So you've got to drink water before you go to sleep. You've got to drink water before you go to sleep. And yeah, my recommendation, whatever the most effective headache tablet you have at hand, take some before going to sleep. Don't wait to wake up with a headache. Take some before you go to sleep. If you've been hitting it really hard, it's not going to stop you from having a hangover, but it's your best chance of containing it somewhat. So intoxication, your neighbors are drug addicts. Oh God. Oh, you have to open the window to get meth fumes. Okay, that's unfortunate. If someone is a hardcore substance abuser, that's bad on a whole number of levels. Look at you rely on your Irish liver to keep you going. Okay, like last night, it was New Year's Eve. I did have more drinks than I normally would on a drinking night, and I don't drink every night. I'll try and guess how many I had. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, I probably had 10 standard drinks last night, and that was spread over 6 hours. So God, that's actually not that much. It's medical practitioners will say yes, it is. More than 4 standard drinks is binge drinking, but seriously, spread over 6 hours. So I was. You can watch the video I uploaded. The drink I have in my hand when I'm making that video, that was the last drink I had. And that was a cocktail I made as a tropical gin fizz. There was a double gin in that. So so that's basically gin and some fruit juices and egg white and shaky, you get a nice frothy thing. But yeah, so that was a double. So I don't know. I actually don't remember how many cocktails. They were all cocktails that I made. It would have worked out at somewhere between 10 and 12 standard drinks, which again, medical practitioners would go, nah, but I did spread it over about 6 hours. I was reasonably drunk at the end of the night. How long does that take to get out of your system? Like the first 3 gets you drunk, and then 1 every hour keeps you drunk. So I would have been like drunk for, after I went to bed, probably, well, I was sober when I woke up anyway, but yeah, probably still would have been in my system till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Luke, you've been pouring doubles for 14 hours. Yeah, you're going to feel that, buddy. Yes, Dirk, the thing about humans have been consuming alcohol and whatnot since before the pyramids were. Yeah, basically one book I read was you can essentially say humans found ways to fuck up their brains as soon as their brains got advanced. But basically, as soon as there was any sort of human culture, people were realizing they could get fucked up. And most cultural anthropologists think that it would have come from seeing animals eating fermented bread, like seeing animals eat particular fruit and then act really weird. And it's because the fruit had fermented and they go, why'd they act like that? And so then they ate the same fruit, and well, this feels well. And eventually they learned how to do it on purpose. They learned how to ferment sugars on purpose, and it all went from there. And grain, which was the form of some spirits, and of course beer. And yeah, there was a thing about alcohol purified water. So for lots of periods in history, drinking alcohol was safer than drinking water. And that's apparently the theory of where coffee comes from as well. Some farmer saw his herd eat these particular berries and then start pinging all over the place. I think, what the hell's that about? And so they ate the berries and they got really hyper, and they eventually worked out how to cultivate it and turn it into a drink. So there is a fairly broad theory with cultural anthropologists that we learned about alcohol, drugs, and stimulants from seeing how animals acted when they ate certain things. But yeah. We were talking about what's the best food to eat before drinking. You definitely should eat. And the more wholesome, the better. Like, you don't want to eat shit. Like, a lot of people go, I'm going to eat it greasy, this, that. No, that is actually not good. Something with a lot of fiber and something with a fair bit of volume, that is actually your best bet. Nobody, yes, Happy New Year, of course. Everyone's saying it. Oh yeah, look, cats on catnip is hilarious. Apparently neither of our cats, because not all cats get high on catnip, and ours don't, because we've tried it. We've tried giving them catnip. Has no effect on them. But I've seen a few photos and videos of cats on catnip, and it's fucking hilarious. Like, they're such drug pigs. They're amazing. Oh yeah, Miss Foxification, I've heard that too. Workers in ancient Egypt were served something that was a kind of beer as yeasts and whatnot. Yeah, you could call it liquid bread. Yeah, it was certainly a lot of those early drinks certainly had a lot of calories, a lot of sustenance. So that would definitely work. Catherine, you think early humans enjoyed getting off their face while staring at the fire? Fire is good like that. Oh my God, I was even listening to a Blind Boy podcast. They was talking about the hypnotic effect of fire, because it does. I'm one of those people who can get really lost staring into a fire. You don't even have to be drunk or high, but that will really make you get lost in it. But yeah, I'm definitely one of those people who feels the hypnotic effect of just staring at a fire. I love fire. Fire is amazing. No wonder fire fascinates humans, because it is just amazing. It just looks amazing. And the way it's constantly changing. I remember a friend of mine at college telling me the story about the first time he took hallucinogens. It was in winter in Bathurst, where I went to college. That's in the mountain, or over the mountains west of Sydney. It gets quite cold in winter, so fires are a thing. And yeah, he got fixated on the fireplace, and yeah, he was focusing on individual flames, and it got to the stage where he swore blind the flames were actually being carried by individual little men who like had fire on a stick and were running around, and that's why the fire changed all the time, because the little men holding the fire were running around. So like, yeah, good one, buddy. Adele, you're at about the halfway mark. So not too late. What the hell was that? It was just on my lip. Some leftover from my dinner, I think. Okay, fine, whatever. Mitchell, beer flavored Vegemite or Vegemite flavored beer? Vegemite. I'm not sure if this is true or is an urban legend, because for those who don't know what Vegemite actually is. Maybe you hear Australians talk about it, but you don't know what it actually is. They call it a yeast extract. The story I heard, and I don't know if it's accurate or if it's just an urban legend, but the chemist who originally developed this hearty spread was a yeast extract. It was stuff that was floating on the top of beer when it was fermenting, very salty, yeasty stuff, and he scooped it off the beer vat and, I don't know, added something to it and did something and it came up with Vegemite. So there was a story I heard that the original Vegemite yeast extract was actually part of the beer brewing process. Adele, you're watching the Big Fat Quiz of 2018. That'll probably be on YouTube. I might watch that in the next couple of days. For those who don't know, that's an annual tradition on British TV where they get, you know, a series of comedians, and it's a quiz about the year, and they all, you know, got to be funny and come up with wacky one-liners. And I think it's done live. I wouldn't swear to that, but I think in the UK, the Big Fat Quiz of the Year is actually done live. Well, that was another bit of trivia I heard on the Blind Boy podcast. He reckons that the British TV in the 90s, there was a lot of live shows that were very wild and anarchic, but they had one too many incidents with guests swearing a lot. So even now, when something is deemed to be live, it isn't. There's a delay built in. So if something gets out of hand, it can actually be cut off before it goes to air. Trivia. Loogie, last drink. You'll save some for the hair of the dog. Yeah, I'm not sure that that ever works too. It's just try to kill the hangover with more booze. Yeah, my big suggestion, you've got to drink water and take some headache tablets before you go to bed. And look, and because with all the drinking and drinking water before going to bed, if you have to get up and after a few hours to have a piss, do that. Definitely have another drink of water. If you get up at any point, like because you have to have a piss, drink more water. You will really regret it if you don't. If you don't drink water, the hangover will be much worse. Oh, Miss Fox, I shouldn't have been looking up. You're saying Marmite was invented by a German. Yeast left over from beer could be made into an edible snack when concentrated and bottled. There you go. And Vegemite was created when the war cut supplies of Marmite. So Vegemite was developed in Australia. There you go. Catherine, I think the extract, although it comes from the alcohol brewing process, I think that component of it doesn't have enough alcohol in it to be counted as alcoholic. I think. That's me saying I think. Dirk, now I've never brewed my own beer. I don't like beer. I've never liked beer. I still don't like beer. I don't drink beer or wine. I like cider. Might consider making my own cider one day. But no, I don't like beer, never have. Milk my man tits. G'day, g'day, g'day. Who would win in a fight, a python or a pie cost? Oh, okay. What's a pie cost? Yes, I do get it. I know what you're doing there. I know, but that's pretty good. 1 for 1 when drinking. Water after any booze. That's a pretty good thing. Dirk, now I've never tried distilling. That's what's the pie cost? Your dignity. Nice. Oh dear. I've never tried distilling, although I did meet this guy at a party earlier in the year where I was playing barman. I was making cocktails for people at the party, and he got this stuff he brewed at home. Like he started with, I think he actually distilled his own alcohol, so you end up with that base spirit that's like 85 to 95% alcohol, And his family came from Central Eastern Europe, and they called this a milk spirit, because apparently part of the whole distilling, like getting it down from this 85 to 95% to putting some flavor into it and bringing it down to a more acceptable 40 to 50%, it involves milk, and it all separates out. And much like we were talking about Vegemite, you can scoop this stuff that comes out and make like an alcoholic cheese out of it. And this apparently is an reasonable alcohol content in this cheese. But he made this drink with some, like I think it was lemon flavored. Holy God, it was good. It was basically like a citrus brandy, reasonably strong citrus brandy. And one of my favorite cocktails is a sidecar, which is brandy and an orange liqueur. So the brandy is whatever you got. You know, I honestly tend to not spend a lot on a brandy, but you know, you can go the whole way to get a cognac or whatever. And for the orange liqueur, you know, it can be triple sec or Cointreau. I have Cointreau or something else. So yeah, that's the sidecar. It's brandy, Cointreau, and lemon juice basically. And so I used his homemade liqueur in that. Fuck, it was good. It was a really good drink. But yes. Oh yes, Miss Foxcation, right about the remote, particularly Indigenous communities are called controlled areas, and they have yes, controls on alcohol and pornography. And yes, when you have those government controls on alcohol, you often get people trying to brew moonshine, and which led to like an incident that happened a couple of years ago where a whole bunch of people died because the moonshine was totally fucking toxic. Ooh, nice, Charlie. You're bottling some homemade cider. Where everyone's got to try something first. No knowing what it'll be first time, but everyone's got to try something first. Tendo, we're talking about booze, my friend. Oh, that's right, Miss Foxication. I remember that. They tried to ban Vegemite because the whole brewing process that Vegemite comes from, you can use Vegemite because of the yeast content as an activator for distilling and brewing. And so a lot of people were claiming, oh, they only use Vegemite to make booze. And so try to ban. Yes, I remember that. Milk, you think a fruit tingle cocktail turns you go after one sip? My favorites are the sidecar and the whiskey sour. I'm not making any flavors at the moment, but yeah, the ones this one I've had for a while, it's almost gone. Probably should. It's a nice blue, isn't it? That's peppermint vodka. And this is, that's tequila. That's some Jelly Bellies dissolved in it. God, not margarita. But I thought it was an appropriate one because the flavor of the Jelly Belly was one that you normally have tequila with. So I infused it with some tequila. That's chili bourbon. That's got a serious kick to it. It had some chili rock candy dissolved in that. What's this one? That's popcorn vodka. That's it's had this actually. Mike and Ike's buttered popcorn. Buttered popcorn flavored candy steeped in it. So we got that thing. No, I did not get the skull bottles from Pancho's restaurant. Got the originals. Here's another one I made. This is caramel vodka. That's very yummy. And this is orange mandarin gin. So I made all those for New Year's Eve, basically. And you see, I didn't actually use that much of them. Oh, I remember that story, Megaleech. Vegemite was renamed Parwell in the 1920s to try and compete with Marmite. The advertising slogan was Marmite, but Pa will. Get it? Mar and Pa, Marmite, but Pa will. and that was a fucking failure. So it went back to Vegemite. There's 3 mites that I know of. There's Marmite, which I think is the original, and Vegemite and Promite. Promite is by far the sweetest of the 3. Loogie, I'm a fan of Kentucky bourbon. My friend, like I said, I'm a cocktail fan, and my favorite is the whiskey sour. And look, you can make that with scotch, with rye, with bourbon, and I prefer it with bourbon. So I like to make a whiskey sour with Kentucky bourbon. Mitchell, what American drinks have had? Do you mean alcohol or soft drinks? Oh, that's right, Migalich. Yeah, I'm not mentioning Aussie Mike because that's dick. And he has turned into a colossal dick lately, saying how Pauline Hanson has great points about immigration. Like, fuck you, man. He's just one of those people who's just talking about population overall needs to be kept low. You don't get into bed with someone like Hanson, no matter how you justify it. Classic example of lie down with a dog and get up with fleas. Look, you've stopped the flow of whiskey into your body. You know what I might have? I might mix myself a little drinky. Still on holidays, so that's good. Oh, that's right, Megali. I've seen that German one, Vita R. Right, I know what I'm going to make. In fact, I'm just going to get some ice. Oh, I managed to not even make a noise as I stood up, despite how up my knees are. Make this a little bit tropical. Yeah, I'm gonna make myself a bit of a tropical drink. This is my chili rum. It's a white rum, an Australian white rum. So I'm going to tall glass. This, I'm just going to have some lemonade in it. Club soda, as the Americans call it. So this gives it a bit of bite. White rum from Queensland that I dissolved some chili rock candy in. And that actually has chili oil in the rock candy. It has serious bite. And I'm going to put a bit of tropical fruit juice in it, pineapple coconut juice. Give it a bit of a tiki feel. And the coconut juice takes a bit of the edge off the chili. Top it off with a bit more lemonade. That is not the lid for that. That is the lid for this. That's the lid for the lemonade. Dirk, you have spicy things. Oh, my drink mixer, so I'll mix it with my finger. Oh, this is like a nice tropical pirate drink now. Red rum. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Because that has... Oh, you hate spicy things. I do not eat very spicy things. I think we had this conversation before when I'm ordering food, like I'm getting Indian food or Mexican food, and I go, I'll have it mild, thank you. And by that, I mean the white person version of mild, okay? So, yeah. Loogie, I have a bunch of videos I've made. If you search on my YouTube channel for cocktails, and I thought I will actually just test that theory. A simple search. If you go to my channel, I'll just bring it up. Okay, go to my channel and look at videos and search. Okay, I'm going to see if this works. Search cocktail on my channel, see what comes up. Oh yeah, got my orange chili vodka, St. Patrick's Day I made with poutine, strawberry guava gin, red rum cocktail, which is like this one. My male tears one, which is a salty one. Oh yeah, and I'm experimenting with the 95% Polish spirit, 95% alcohol. Vodka caramel appetini. Yeah, so there's half a dozen or more cocktail videos on my channel. So there's a few on there. So and there's a lot more where I showed how I make the flavors as well. So there's a few of them on there. Hey Frankie, how's it going, man? Mr. Nine, you're with me on the white version of mild? Yeah, that is so me. Catherine, see, you want to raid the liquor bench? So I do on the semi-regular invite people over and make drinks. I just find it a fun thing to do, basically. Well, that's an interesting one you found, this Foxification. Democrats maneuver to end the shutdown without Trump wall money. Honestly, Trump is just making such a fool of himself, but he doesn't seem to care. And his supporters certainly don't care. They don't give a shit what he does or says. It's quite bizarre to see, because there's normally, with any sort of politician or activist group, there's this hardcore of 10 to 20% who are ride or die types that'll stick with them no matter what. But with Trump, the number seems so much higher of people who will ignore every lie, every self-contradiction, every bit of hypocrisy, every bit of horseshit about it. And it's just weird. I'm sure you can hear the cicada that suddenly started to make noise. Probably not suddenly, it's been doing it for about 10 minutes. I was hoping it would be quiet, and it isn't. Sorry, Miss Foxification. I was reading that Trump thinks the Federal Reserve needs to go with his gut feeling about the share market. First, he seems to be very good at insulating himself against the idea of everyone thinks he's a moron. He appears to be very good at blocking that. But there's also the legal thing of the president cannot dictate to the Federal Reserve what they do. They have to act independently. But yeah, the second thing is, I'm pretty sure the Federal Reserve thinks he's full of shit and definitely isn't doing what he wants. Luke, you have a lot of cicadas in Indiana as well. Yeah, this is the time of year for cicadas here. And they're more and noisier this year than they have been for the last couple years. So I think the cycle of rain and heat must have been particularly favorable to them this year, because they've really been noticeable this year. Oh, Mr. Nine, you're born to Sri Lankan parents and you still want mild curries and chilies. Oh, what are the ancestors thinking? Good Lord. Adele, you think the US education system might be at fault? It could be. Well, Tendai, the noise cicadas make and crickets make is very similar. Cicadas are just much louder. And I can just tell that's a cicada. It's way too loud to be a cricket. But yeah, the noise generally sounds the same. Well, it's dropping out. It's like maybe it's going to stop. Maybe it's bored. It's doing its mating call, like Luigi says. Maybe it's going to calm down. Who knows? But yeah, it's all a bit of much. We have a lot of magpies in my neighborhood, but they're quite friendly. There's not really an issue with swooping. Again, people who aren't Australian sometimes get surprised by this idea. Australians just take it for granted that spring is swooping season. It's basically the nesting season. Magpies in particular, they're not the only ones, but magpies in particular can get very territorial and will attack people they regard as a threat, and they'll swoop on you. And it can vary from magpie to magpie. Like some won't come very close to you at all, and they'll just swoop in your general neighborhood, and they'll swoop once. Others will hover around you and just keep going. And lots of people have had blood drawn from being struck by a magpie. Oh, there you go. It's having a fucking rest. That's a big thing. Dude, you've been swooped by flying foxes. That seems weird. Oh, Charlie in Harvey Bay, you've got a shit ton of fruit bats. Oh, they're into the mangoes. They're in the mango tree. Yeah, I've been in places that have bat colonies, and yeah, they do tend to make a lot of noise when they come in to roost in the evening. Look at you, Warhammer 40k magpies. Maybe. I've seen some very aggressive magpies. I've also seen very friendly ones. There's a friend who lived out more in the outer suburbs of me, went to a barbecue at his place. And when they fired up the barbecue, like dozens of magpies suddenly appeared and were sitting all around on the roof. It's because they feed them. Magpies are meat eaters, and they would feed them whenever they fired up barbecue. So the magpies were super friendly, but would also come around in really significant numbers when they had a barbecue, because it's like, yep, grub's on, here we go, there we go. Frank, Federal Reserve reminds you when the military responded to Trump. Oh, yeah, yes. I do remember that when Trump just tweeted something about getting transgender people out of the military, the senior brass said, we do not respond to a tweet. It's basically like, no, if official policy comes through, then we start to act on it. Just because Mr. Trump tweeted something is not going to change our existing policy. Oh, no, but you were feeding a magpie at Macca's. I have a video that I quite like. There's a place out on the Great Ocean Road past Geelong where you can hand feed parrots. There's all these parrots in this place, and there's a little cafe there. They'll sell you seed, and you go with like a handful of seed, and these king parrots, quite large parrots, will land on you. There's also some rosellas as well, which are a bit smaller, but the king parrot's quite large, and they'll just land on you and eat out of your hand. But also what I didn't know is the guy who runs the cafe, he feeds kookaburras as well. Kookaburras are also meat eaters. And so I had this video where I've got my camera on a monopod and going, and the kookaburras come right in, and they're like on the monopod, they're sitting on my shoulder, because the guy put a bit of meat on my shoulder, and kookaburras are sitting on me eating. The kookaburras do this thing like they catch a lizard or a snake, they smack it against a tree or against a rock to kill it. So it's a reflex thing they do when they get meat, to do this thing where they go whack, whack. And so I've got this video where there's a kookaburra sitting on me, and he's basically whacking this wet bit of meat against my head. And I'm just going like, yeah, that feels gross. Oh, that feels gross. Why are you doing that? So, but it's a pretty good video. Yeah, Frank, I agree. When the military responded by referring to him as Mr. Trump, not President, because they're sick of his bullshit. But yeah. It's kind of like when his Secretary of Defense finally resigned. And his resignation was basically, I cannot put up with your shit anymore. Trump, I haven't verified this, but I saw some reports. Basically, the Defense Secretary Mattis resigned, and his resignation was a really clear. He's like, okay, here's what I think is important: respect of our allies and keeping a sharp eye on our enemies. And then the next paragraph was, well, you deserve a Defense Secretary who agrees with you. So he's basically said, here is the basic decency that I believe we should do. And the next one is, you don't believe that, so fuck you, find some stooge who'll do what you want, because it ain't me. And Trump accepted his resignation, said, like, you know, there'll be a 2-month handover. But then I read a report that someone pointed out to Trump, did you not get that his letter is a colossal fuck you? There's a whole bunch of stuff in it that everyone, apart from you, appears to have worked out that he's saying fuck you. And so then Trump changed it to, no, he's gone as of today, which, if true, is hilarious. And hello, Cliff Jumper. How's it going? Cliff Jumper, it is very easy to upset Trump supporters. And I imagine they're going to get super agitated when it looks more and more like Trump's going to face criminal prosecution. Oh, God, yes, Charlie. I do remember there was a story about a kookaburra who got too fat to fly because he was always eating sausages off barbecues. And he looked like a Pokemon or something, just this super fat kookaburra. Very weird to behold. And people go, it's so cute. And the vet's going, it's not cute. It will kill him. He'll die. Okay, a few fans of the hashtag President Chump. Yeah, you can upset his supporters quite easily. One of my favorites is when it became obvious that the reference in all of Mueller's investigations to, is it person one or whatever? Let's say it was referring to person one. It was, and it never used his name, but it is very obvious that the reference to person one is Trump. And so people said, let's not refer to him as President 45. Let's just refer to him as person one. Just referring to the criminal investigation really upsets Trump supporters. Yeah. But they're all a little bit disconnected from reality. Because this obsession with the Clintons, which again, none of these people are particularly introspective, and none of them are, oh, that's it, Cliff Jumper, individual one, thank you. None of them are good at knowing history or whatnot, but the Republican Party has been aggressively going after the Clintons since the 90s. So for well over 20 years. Right up to asserting that they're responsible for murders. So they've been mouthing off for over 20 years that the Clintons were criminals. And of course, the whole thing with Trump's campaign, lock her up, because of that, oh no, the mail server. And after all that, they've got absolutely zero on the Clintons. There's never been a charge, apart from impeaching Bill for getting a blowjob from his intern. That's the most they've ever been able to do. Whereas, you know, in the first 2 years of the Trump administration, there's a whole cavalcade of arrests, successful prosecutions, and imprisonment that get people who've been close to Trump forever. I mean, I think it's up to 30 convictions, not 30 people, but 30 charges that they've secured convictions or guilty pleas on. And, you know, up to Trump's long-term lawyer, the head of Trump's campaign. And they still have said, there's nothing to do with Trump. And it's just like, wow, your ability to just delude yourself is truly astonishing. Truly astonishing. Oh, yes, President Cheeto. Again, this is the weirdest thing. Like, this assertion that you get from Trump supporters that he's a man, he's a tough guy, he's a real man, and he's a weird, vain, pathetic loser. Like that super bad fake. How are they not embarrassed? How are they not embarrassed to support him just with how stupid he looks? From that ridiculous fucking comb over he has to the appallingly bad fake tan. How are they just not embarrassed? I cannot wrap my head around it, quite honestly. Oh, I like that, Frankie. You went with precedent chunk. Yes. Obviously, making fun of him doesn't change anything. I think that's just a safety valve. That's like to stay sane when I make fun of him. I think it's a bit weird when people think making fun of him will actually bring him down. Like, no, it won't. Okay. History shows us that never happens. Doesn't mean don't make fun of him. Like I said, I think it's like a safety valve. It helps you stay somewhat sane if you make fun of him. So when you go back, man, the Nazis, as the Nazis rose to power, there was a lot of cutting edge, very biting social satire being done in the cabaret. It's not cabaret in Germany, it's cabaret in France. In Germany, it was cabaret. And some very cutting edge, biting social commentary being done in the cabaret. And we all saw how effective that was. But yes, it's fun. Oh, Mr. Fox, you think, oh, no, I'm sorry. I feel like you're still being naive. You reckon if he doesn't go to jail, even his supporters won't claim that's just and fair. No, no, no. His supporters are completely disconnected from reality. When the inevitable criminal charges come against him, they'll lose their mind and say, it's the deep state, it's a conspiracy. They've left reality behind a long time ago. They will not ever concede that Trump is a criminal, no matter how obvious it is, no matter how conclusive it is. They won't accept it. Loogie, you're gonna say, okay, you're going to bed, water, probably a lot of it, headache tablets before you go to bed, and if at any time you wake up, like to have a piss, whatever, drink more water. Even if you don't want to, if you're awake, drink more water. It won't stop a headache, but it's your only chance to sort of minimize the drama. Oh, sorry, we're mentioning Toad again. Yes, that reference to Trump and his porn star adventures, having a porn star saying, now his dick looks weird. It looks like Toad from Mario Kart. Yeah, that was, I'm not sure we needed that mental image, honestly. I'm really not sure we needed to know that. But yes, I'm his Foxification, President Champignon. Oh my God. Dirk, would I also have not read Mein Kampf? Yeah, okay. If you had family in that part of the world, yeah, there is a thing of wanting to know how the fuck did this happen. Man, people are just led. People are so easily led. It's just, yeah, it's just wild. Oh God, I do remember a joke. I remember going in high school. So he wanted to know what it was all about. He wanted to read Mein Kampf, and the only copy that was in the library was actually in German. It was in the original German. And he thought maybe if I got a German phrase book, I'd be able to cross-reference and I'd be able to understand that. So he took out from the library Mein Kampf and a German phrase book. And about a week later, I caught up with him and said, how did that work out? And he goes, not good. Do you know how rarely Hitler said, can you tell me where the bus stop is? Phrase book is useless. So, yeah. Oh my God, Cliff Jumper, I have not seen that. Trump suggesting he doesn't have to step down after 2 terms. Roosevelt served 19 years, so I should be able to too. I have not seen that, but that's nightmare material. I mean, he's going to be fucking jailed. Why did FDR serve 4 terms? So an amendment was passed after that limiting. I thought that was in the Constitution way before, but there you go. Okay. I am intrigued. Okay, I'm going to throw it out there. I searched on that term. Add Trump to the search. I'm not seeing references to Trump saying that. Okay, I'm just going to go out and say I'm not seeing references to Trump talking about that. But it does sound like the sort of thing he'd say, really. Wait a sec, when's this one come from? Oh, that's from right back in March. Yeah. No, I'm not seeing a lot of reference to Trump saying that, but it's certainly, yeah, it sounds like the sort of thing he would say, honestly, doesn't it? Outdated farm equipment. Am I a socialist or more a social democrat? I'm not a socialist. I've never been a socialist. By most people's standards, I'm sort of raving loony left thing, but I am a believer in democracy, even when it delivers people I don't like. Anyone who believes any one political system will solve all problems is deluding themselves, as far as I'm concerned. And there are a lot of imperfections in various democracies around the world, including Australia's. But I believe without some form of direct democracy, we're all in terrible trouble. So I think it's our best chance for getting the best representation. Yes, Megaleech, I did used to hang out with anarchists. Yes. Oh, okay. Adele is saying Trump said it jokingly in the past. Yeah, look, anarchism is the in a sort of fantasy perfect land, the anarchist version of collectivism, which is known as anarcho-syndicalism. In a perfect ideal world, that's what I'd go for. But you can't decentralize power without coming into severe conflict with people who want to centralize power. And so something like anarcho-syndicalism that tries to let local communities run their own local community runs up against people who want to amass large amounts of power. And so it's more of a utopian ideal than something I think is going to happen. So we got to keep struggling, I think, because no battle is ever won. Any victory is only temporary. I just got reminded of a book I read ages ago, and it was really good, and I can't remember what it was called, but it basically involved this guy who had magical powers traveling to hell, and he ends up being friends with Satan. There's another demon in hell who's trying to overthrow Satan, and looks like he's going to succeed. And he's sort of like, yeah, I've got the army, I've got more power than Satan, I can overthrow him. And Satan does this speech, and it's a killer speech, but it basically sums up with, I existed before creation. I will still be here when creation ends. You might win today. You might rule hell for millennia. You might think that's a victory, but I will always be here. And before the end of time, I will snuff you out and wipe you out. So nothing you do means anything. You might win today, you might rule for a century, you might rule for 1,000,000 years, but the day will come, I'll snuff you out because I am eternal. And it's just this speech like, don't even bother trying to take power from me, because any victory you have is only temporary, and I'll take it back. So yeah, Satan, not to be fucked with. Cliffjumper, you make a good point. Trump jokes about doing more than 2 terms, which he can't. He literally can't. It's in the Constitution, he can't. But yes, if he jokes about it and then his supporters start pushing it and the conservative media start pushing it as a talking point, there's all sorts of unrest that happens. So it's like, look, honestly, Trump says, oh, you know, if something happened to him, like if he got impeached, if he got arrested, his supporters would riot. And other people said, oh, that's the wrong thing to say. As a statement of fact, I think it's a reasonably accurate statement. It's a thing I worry about. Trump supporters would certainly talk about insurrection and maybe have rallies if, see, and this is no matter what, if and when Trump leaves office, no matter what, there's going to be a group of people who say it's not fair. If he serves out his first term and loses an election and doesn't get a second term, they'll go psycho and say it's rigged. Because Trump was already saying this, that if he doesn't win, it's rigged. And there are certain people who will quite loudly proclaim that, and I don't know what they'll do. If he gets impeached, either in first term or second term, and faces charges, they've already got the conspiracy, the deep state. They'll go off their tree about that. If he drops dead, because let's face it, he's old and incredibly bad shape, and he's under a lot of stress. He could drop dead like that. They would claim that was an assassination. And their reaction, they'll be very loud, but what they actually do will be somewhere between nothing, they'll just be all talk, and something really, really bad. And I don't know which of the two it'll be. And hey, Tim, how's it going? Yeah, Miss Foxification, you're right about, again, it's so weird when people say, well, why did you bring up Hitler? Because read the history. The rise of Trump has made me read a lot more history than I had in the past. The rise of the Nazi Party has so many parallels to the rise of Trump. It's really quite freaky. And up to and including, people treated Hitler like a joke. People said he didn't really mean that stuff he said. You know, it's just mouthing off. And look where it ended up. But yes, if and when Trump leaves office, whether from being impeached, losing an election, finishing a second term, or dying, there are those among his supporters who'll just lose it and go off the tree. Now, what that translates into, I don't know. What it actually translates into will be somewhere on a spectrum from nothing, as in they'll just be all talk, and nothing bad will happen, through to protest riots, to violence, to really nasty. I don't think the real, like, you know, revolution, that's not realistic in my opinion, but their reaction will be somewhere on that spectrum. And I have no idea where on that spectrum they will land. Safa, that's an interesting point. If Trump loses a second term, can he run in an election after that? I believe the answer to that question is yes. if Trump serves one term, loses the election, someone else is president, Trump is eligible to run again for a second term in a future election. Again, not a constitutional law expert in the US, but I believe he would, because I know there is one president who served non-consecutive terms, served one term, then lost an election, and then later on won another election. So there's precedent for it. It has happened before. See, Frank, that's a bit of a rabbit hole to go down there. Absolutely. You think, oh, I want to look up a few details about the Gestapo, and you find so much information. Yeah, you go down the rabbit hole of, oh, this is how the Third Reich rose, and this is what the SS. Yeah, it's a real rabbit hole you can go down to. Dirk, didn't one of the Bushes do that? Not as president, no. At the governor level, who knows, but not as president. Yeah, Miss Fox occasionally said the Trump playbook. It's so bizarre how explicitly he follows the Goebbels propaganda playbook. It's amazing. Saha, what do I think about the movie Vice? I haven't seen it. It looks interesting. Good old Christian Bale with the method acting thing, putting on weight and being fat. It looks interesting. I do want to see it, but I haven't seen it. Is there Christian Bale and his weird obsession with physical transformation? You look at The Machinist, where he was emaciated, like he starved himself for months to be this absolutely scary, emaciated figure, to straight after that, he was Batman, where he was buff as fuck. And now he's playing Dick Cheney, where instead of just wearing a fat suit, he actually put on the weight to be a fat guy. Wears prosthetic age makeup, but he actually put on the weight to play Cheney, which is wild. It's not good for your health. Doing that stuff is not good for your health. Yeah. Oh my God, if you haven't seen it, this, God, it must be about 10 years older by now, a Christian Bale film called The Machinist. It's fucking freaky. Jackie. Oh, cool. Yes. You're an old school watcher. Yeah, from God, 10 years ago. Time flies. Safa, do I think there'll be civil war if Trump loses next election? No, I don't think there will be. I think there'll be unrest. This is what I was saying before. Their reaction will be, what they do will be somewhere on a spectrum of nothing to maybe a lot of trouble. There's all this talk about civil war, revolution. That won't happen. I thoroughly 1000% believe that won't happen. Namely, because the establishment Republicans would also be on the side of replacing it. You'd have the establishment Democrats in favor of violent repression of unrest of that nature, and you would also have the establishment Republicans in favor of violent repression of that sort of unrest. So when all of those people are in favor of shutting down any sort of insurrection, it's getting shut down. The Cliff Jumper saying, Frank. Oh, that's an interesting point. You're saying the Gestapo had the scare tactics. Neighbors who didn't like other neighbors would rat them out. That's what happened in Iraq in the US occupation. Like the majority of people who ended up in Guantanamo Bay got there just because a neighbor didn't like them and went to the Americans, oh no, that guy's definitely a terrorist, go and arrest him. And so you've ended up radicalizing people who weren't fucking radicals. Ridiculous. Oh, Cliff Jumper, you're worried about redneck Trump supporters with a gun causing shootings in the future. They're doing it now. They're already doing it. There are multiple examples of people inspired by Trump going on murderous shooting rampages for the people that they don't like, whether it's the gays, the Jews, or the Muslims. It's already happening. Bo, Happy New Year to you as well. And I hope all is well with you. Jackie, it's interesting that you reckon because of the extremities of views in the US, you reckon they could have a civil war. There is a really good graphic novel series called DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone, and it's about a civil war in modern day America. And the DMZ is actually Manhattan Island, New York. It's really good. Tim, please don't embarrass yourself. Don't say the Nazis were left wing. You just sound like the stupidest cunt on the fucking planet. It is absolutely pathetic. That is the weakest, most useless, brain dead excuse for an argument. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have people say something that stupid. No, it's in the name, National Socialist Party. They were socialists. Ugh. Much like the World Series of Baseball includes the entire world. The Democratic Republic of North Korea is both democratic and a republic. You just sound like an absolute fucking moronic fuckwit. You need to shut the fuck up. That's pathetic. Bo, unfortunately, AZ messaged me. He's just got out of hospital. He does that on New Year's occasionally. So, yes, although he's out of hospital, so there's that plus. But yes, not great. Oh, Cliff Jumper, I don't argue that bad things will happen, but there's also bad things are happening now. And yeah, I have said it. There's among Trump supporters, there are people who will not accept him leaving office, no matter what the reason is. Like I said, whether he loses an election, whether he gets impeached, whether he dies, or even if he serves out 2 terms, there are people who very vocally will not accept that. And we've seen there is no limit to the lunacy people will believe. Just look at the QAnon conspiracies. They're so stupid. There's no other word but stupid. And these people vehemently believe it. And there are basically millions of people who are that fucking stupid. It's as simple as that. Jack, you think I might like the book series by John Birmingham called After America? Oh. A weird energy bubble zips 99% of mainland America's politics into non-existence. That does sound interesting. That sounds very interesting. Safa, the nuclear football. What was the stories with his recently resigned Secretary of Defense, Mattis? Apparently had talked to everyone in the military and said, do not let any sort of military escalation happen if I'm not directly in the loop. You've got to ignore any wild shit that comes out of Trump's office. Don't let anything happen that I'm not explicitly in the loop on. And yeah, it's weird. Jarky, apparently he doesn't like being called Mad Dog. Trump kept calling him that, and apparently he doesn't like it, which is pretty funny. Oh, no, AngryAussie, I still haven't listened to any Tingles. Actually, while we're talking about that, I am quickly... Look, I'm gonna look up my podcasting library search. I'm gonna see if I can quickly get some. Chuck. No, not Chick. Chuck. Dingle. Okay, I'm going to see what comes up when I search for Chuck Ding. Pounded. Oh, Night Vale. Pounded in the butt by my own podcast. Okay, I'm just going to subscribe to that so I can get it. Okay, I will listen to it. Tim, you're just embarrassing yourself. That's all I'm going to say. That was probably one of my favorite bits of trivia that were reported. Again, yeah, it was reported. I can't vouch for the veracity of this, but it really made me laugh. Trump loved referring to Mad Dog Mattis, and Mattis apparently hates that nickname. No one in the military actually called him that. There's apparently people in political administrations may have called him that. And Trump thought it was a term of endearment, and Mattis apparently hated it. Just a classic Trump bungle is pretty funny. So if you saw Aquaman, I still haven't seen Aquaman. What did I go and see? Finally, there's a couple of independent US films that have taken forever to come out here. One is called, oh God, I keep getting it wrong. I keep thinking it's called Pardon the Interruption, or Sorry for the Interruption, or Sorry to Disturb You. And I keep getting the name of it wrong, but it finally got released on a limited run in independent cinemas here. And I went and saw it, and it was not what I was expecting. It's really weird. It gets really surreal. Like I thought it was about a black guy who worked in a telemarketing job and has to put on a white voice to sell things, and he becomes really successful. That's it. Sorry to Bother You. It's called Sorry to Bother You. It's like really well reviewed. Like it's got like 93% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw it on the weekend. It gets really weird, like way weirder than I thought it would, like super weird. It's like, you know, political social satire, and it gets really, it's not going to go down as one of my favorite films, but it's very different, and it's good to see something different. I think the next one I want to see is another independent American film that took forever to come out here. It's coming out here this week, next week. It's called 8th Grade, written and directed by Bo Burnham, who's a fucking awesome comedian who got his start on YouTube. And by the by, his most recent comedy special on Netflix, which is called Make Happy, mandatory viewing if you like comedy. It's an astonishingly good show. Like, it's funny. It's an incredibly difficult show technically to put together. It's really insightful, but it's funny. It's very funny. Definitely see that. But yeah, he's got, this movie came out like 6 months ago in the US, 8th Grade, and Tim, you're getting attacked because you're saying dumb fucking shit and you won't shut the fuck up. You're saying stupid fucking brain dead shit that is straight up fucking embarrassing to see, okay? You are saying the stupidest, most brain dead shit imaginable, and people are going, holy fuck, you're a moron, because you're being a fucking moron, okay? Jesus. Chunky, you want a wall around Tasmania? We do have a wall around Tasmania. It's like the Tasman Sea. So if you wish Aussie cinemas had 4K displays. Hey, I tell you what, I found out one of the cinemas I go to uses digital projection because the digital projector broke down. The air conditioning broke down first, and it was intolerably hot, and I didn't know if I was going to survive the session in the cinema. But I think possibly the heat made the digital projector overheat because it started stuttering, like, you know, like a video on YouTube buffering. And so I went and got money back. But Yeah, that was interesting because I'd not kept track of what cinemas are doing. I know for good reason cinemas were very dubious about switching over from film to digital because film, you know, just worked. Film was completely consistent, and digital, you know, digital technology keeps having to be upgraded and changed, and they change formats, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of cinemas were rightly dubious about switching from film to digital, but it appears most of them have now. Tim, you need to shut the fuck up, okay? You're stupid as fuck. You're saying moronic, brain-dead, stupid shit. You need to grow the fuck up or fuck off. You are just saying, and I mean, you are literally the textbook of the stupidest motherfucker on the planet. You are saying the most stupid, pathetic, brain-dead fucking talking points that are absolutely meaningless. They're complete opposite of the actual facts, and you're crossing the line from being just a thick, stupid motherfucker to an annoying cunt. And only one thing happens to annoying cunts. So shut the fuck up, fuck off. Dirk, you're out. I am also out soon, actually. 5 minutes. Catherine, you go to the movies on New Year's Eve and you saw Aquaman. Excellent. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, most people think Aquaman's one of the best DC films. I'll probably see it at some point. I don't know if I'll see it in the cinemas or if I'll wait to see it when it's on digital release. But we'll see. You know, it looks interesting. Yeah, it's kind of a low hurdle. It seems like a low hurdle to say one of the best DC films because they're not great, honestly, are they? So, oh yeah, commercially, I think it seems like it's the most successful of the DC Universe films. I keep forgetting that, like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which is, you know, 3 really quite good films. I keep forgetting like they're technically DC films because they're not DC Expanded Universe films. They predate the concept of the DC Expanded Universe, but they are technically DC films. So they're actually good. They're not flawless, but they're good. So yeah, I keep seeing like on Foxtel recently, like Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther are on high rotation. So I keep rewatching them. I fucking love Thor Ragnarok. It's so funny. And Thor is so funny. Like Chris Hemsworth is such a good comedic actor. You look at him in Ghostbusters and in Thor Ragnarok, and he's such a good comedic actor. He should get more comedy roles because he's bloody funny. And he's such a charming personality as well. And yeah, I think I don't mind watching Black Panther repeatedly because it's right up there with the best Marvel films. Although I have to admit, I was really looking at it and going, well, I shouldn't just slavish like it to critique it. There's a bit where the Border Tribe side with Killmonger, and it's like, okay, you set up the reason for it, and okay, it's a real stretch that you support this outsider just because he killed the guy you wanted killed, because you'd only have to talk to T'Challa and he'd go, oh no, that guy, we had the bad guy, and that guy actually broke him out. So crediting him with catching Claw is bullshit. And so it's a real stretch that the Border Tribe sided with him. But okay, and then they have the challenge which T'Challa loses, but then he's not dead, and he comes back and he says that bit where he announces himself and challenges Killmonger and says, I never conceded, and as you can see, I'm not dead, so the challenge is not over. And Killmonger goes, oh, fuck the challenge, I'm not doing the challenge anymore, I'm just the boss. And the border tribes still go to fight on his behalf. Like, the Royal Guard rebel against him because, no, you just betrayed the thing. But why the fuck would the border tribe go, oh, we're still going to fight for him? Just explicitly according to the rules, he's now definitely wrong, and he's definitely not the legitimate ruler at the moment. Oh, and he just said he's throwing all our rules out the window. So fuck. But they fight against all the other tribes on his behalf. That's the weakest point of Black Panther, quite honestly. Are we going to get into Nazi uniforms were designed by Hugo Boss, not Carl Boss. The Nazis had Hugo Boss as their designer, didn't they? Very stylish, like the First Order in the new Star Wars films. Incredibly unsubtly based on the Nazis. Safa, did I ever use drive-through cinema? I don't. Oh, you mean I've ever been to a drive-in? Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go to the drive-in a lot. I think there's still one active drive-in in Melbourne, but it's probably, I mean, honestly, it's probably at least 15 years since I've been to a drive-in. I like that, Charlie. I haven't seen that animated series, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Hawkeye challenged T'Challa and got his ass handed to him. Well, he would. You know, what's Hawkeye's power? He's pretty good with a bow and arrow. T'Challa has superhuman strength and reflexes. Hawkeye wouldn't stand a chance. Oh, yeah, Frank, you're right about uniforms. Starship Troopers, they're fascists. Unashamedly, the world of Starship Troopers is a fascist society, which was completely hilarious. I've read interviews with the filmmakers when they said, like, yeah, it's really weird. Like, the film came out, we had people going, I like the film, but they seem kind of fascist. And the filmmakers are going, duh, they're fascists. In the book, they were explicitly fascist. So we made them explicitly fascist. And you're like, oh, I liked it, but those guys seemed like fascists. It's because they're fascists. We're not saying it as a slur. That's who they are. It's a fascist society. But yes, people miss the point sometimes. Oh, but speaking of Marvel films, I saw the animated film Into the Spider-Verse, and holy fuck, it's good. Like, I was so surprised at how positive the reviews were for it. Like, everyone was raving about it and saying how good it is. And yeah, I did go to see it last week. Oh crap, it's good. Like, it's a great script, really great voice acting. It's just beautiful. Like, the style they've done it in is incredible. Like, I just want to see all Marvel films done that way. Like, an Avengers film done in that style would be fantastic. And you wouldn't have to worry about Robert Downey Jr. getting a bit old to play Iron Man. He's only doing the voice. But yeah, if you haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, thoroughly worth saying. Oh yes, we already stated. I can't believe people don't stay to the end of the credits in Marvel films. But yeah, for Into the Spider-Verse, I wasn't even sure if there was a post-credit sequence, and there was, and it was fucking hilarious. So no spoilers. Nobody put any spoilers about what the post-credit sequence is. The closest I will come to a spoiler to say, if you go and see it, stay to watch the post-credit sequence, because I think it's the funniest post-credit sequence I've seen in a Marvel film. It's really good. It's the whole thing with Into the Spider-Verse gets very meta, and the post-credit sequence is very self-referential to the history of Spider-Man. Okay, Jesus Christ, why do I fucking give you oxygen? Fuck off. That's the limit. No, I'm just done. So if you're saying Aquaman has a mid-credit scene, okay. Yeah, I suppose because it's DC, like they don't want to seem like a slavish copy of Marvel, but the whole mid-credit sequences are pretty common. They're not limited to Marvel, but yes, we'll see. Yes, Into the Argos. I should have done it long ago. It's just that level of stupid. It's like, why is it that stupid people are also incapable of shutting the fuck up? It's like, I will let people say virtually anything and I'll point out why they're wrong, and I won't be really harsh if they will shut the fuck up. But when people won't shut the fuck up, it's like, nah, dude, take the fucking hint. Couldn't make it any clearer. I was sick of your shit, but no, gone. Oh, Frank, I knew he was there because of other people's replies. Can you block him? Well, yeah, I can only say that your judgment is correct, I think. It's just like, no, I just reached a limit there. It's just, when someone's just being that embarrassingly stupid and wasting your time about it. There's the thing, the whole, like, I've got my life to waste with these people. No, I don't. I've got a life. It's just like, no, you're not worth it. Anywho, well, that's run us over the 2-hour mark. So I'm going to bid you fine people farewell. Thank you, as per usual, for your company. It has been a wonderful time, as always. So I hope you all look after yourselves. Let's grab 2019 by the throat and shake it about a bit. We're going to show it who's boss this year. 2018 was a pretty fucking weird year, but anyway. So good night all. Look after yourselves. I look forward to seeing you again soon. And I will say bye for now.